Welcome to the Check Swing Podcast with myself and the star of the show, my man, Mr. Coach Sen over there doing his thing, looking suave in the Check Swing jersey, as well as the new Twist Radio T-shirt. Got to check him out. Welcome to the show. It is Tuesday night. It is 9:00, and we are live. So if you're out hanging with us, we appreciate you. Invite a couple friends in. Join us. Let's make it a whole party. Let's make it a whole family. Let's make it a whole situation. Because we like to have fun. We like to have some fun. Miguel likes to stump me, and I've been doing okay lately. Right, last few weeks I did better. You got me good with the Dave Winfield. I think it was a few weeks back. That's the one that hurt. That's the one that killed.
Yeah. But ever since we made the suggestion last August to just say what comes first in your brain, you've been on a hot streak.
I've done well. I've done well with it. We got a few things that we want to talk about today. One of the things that we're going to talk about, of course, as you saw by the title of the show, we're going to talk a little bit about the World Baseball Classic. The final is tonight between Japan and the United States. And right now, as we speak, Japan is winning the game 3-1, I believe it is. Let me see. Let me make sure.
It's still 3-1.
Right. 3-1 in the top of the fifth inning. The top of the fifth? Yeah, top of the fifth inning. And Japan out there looking good. They're hitting the ball. The pitchers for the United States aren't getting the job done. They've given up home runs. So did Japan. Japan gave up a home run to Trey Turner. New Philly. So I'm hoping that he's not getting all his greatest hits of the season out now. I hope he's saving some for the season because we're going to need it. Trey, we're going to need it. Okay. But Miguel.
Sir.
You start off the show asking how you've been. I kind of went off on my own tangent. Miguel, how have you been? It's been a week.
Been a week, man. I'm tired.
You are too?
Yes.
Me too. I don't know why.
Well, I know for me, like I'm starting to increase a lot of my lessons, so I'm actually getting more clientele. And there are certain days where my mind says I'm 21 again, and I can get in the catcher's position and catch a bullpen, and my body says, "Silly man, you are old and morbidly obese, so it's not going to work."
Listen, I had after baseball practice day, I went over to the track practice, and I talk to the coach and the kids and stuff like that. And there was a kid that is a shot putter, big kid, and I don't remember how it happened, but he came over to me and was like, "Yeah, I'm the fastest kid on the team. You want to race me?" First of all, I was like, I'll smoke you. Second of all, no, I won't race you because I'm gonna hurt myself as soon as I take a step. Because I do know that at my age, you do not go out and go into full sprint mode without warming up and stretching first. Like, you are playing with fire if you do something like that.
And the warm-up stretch for us takes no less than 30 minutes.
Oh, absolutely. That's not even. That's yeah. That's yeah. You want to race me? You got to give me 30 minutes, at least. You got to give me 30 minutes at least. So, you're putting the gear on, Coach? Like, what's going on?
No. Just I all I've been doing is just catching some bullpens. Although I've been looking at some of the gear, and I fell in love with my man's the gear from Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love his gear. So I'll see if I can find a picture of it and pull it up.
If you want to see what Miguel was talking about, he actually posted it on his Instagram. So Miguel, if you actually want some of these people to go to your Instagram, you can put it out there. But if you don't want, random people that love us checking out your Instagram, don't give it out.
Give it out. It's fine. Because it's random people that hit me up anyway.
What is it? MASANTA? You expected me to remember?
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I think it's Masanta. I believe that's what it is.
You know what it is? It's the way you're saying it. It sounds really weird.
So it's M.A. Santa. How about that? Is that?
There you go. MA Santa 1076.
Oh, see, I didn't know the numbers.
Or Ma Santa. No, stop. Only my wife says that. It's MA Santa 1076.
There you go. So go check him out. Go friend him. And mine is right down there. Jay Watson Radio Man and Neutrals Radio. Sketch Pro Studio says, yo, what up, Sketch? And Dar Muhammad says, hi, Uncle.
Oh, my niece.
I know I'm not the uncle. It must be you.
That's my niece. And congratulations. She's finally getting married in July. The first baby I ever held. She's used to be this.
Oh,
little.
Congratulations, Ms. Muhammad.
It's not. The last name is going to be hyphenated, and I'll announce what that's going to be because I actually forgot already.
No, don't worry about it. The name that shows up right now is Muhammad, so that's what I call her. That's not the young lady that came to practice with you that time, is it?
No, that's my goddaughter, Michaela.
Goddaughter. Okay, that's why. Okay, goddaughter. Okay,
cool. That was the one all the guys were hanging their tongues out at.
They were. Sketch says, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and matter of fact, funny story, and I'm pretty sure I just quick. And when we were out there, she started dancing a little bit, and I said, no. No, you can't do that here. It's like, no, you cannot do that here.
Mm-hmm.
These young Gipper Gappers over here will not be able to handle it. You can't do that here. I'm sorry.
I will say,
but I'm sure you got pops to tell you, don't do that here.
I will say, though, they were a little bit more competitive that day. They did have a little chip on their shoulder.
They did.
I just find it funny because, so my goddaughter, she usually is very blunt, direct, to the point, you know. Mm-hmm. And I think there was one guy that was really like talking to her and whatnot, and I can't remember who it was. And she was like, yo, his breath was stinking. She said she smelled like, she said his breath smells like tires in somebody's backyard.
Wow, that's pretty specific. It's pretty specific.
Yeah.
That's funny. Now, while I'm over here, I'm trying to stall, right? So I'm over here trying to pick up, pull up some stuff, some information on Eagles free agent.
I got some of I got the most important stuff if you need it.
Okay, I'll go with it because it's weird because, like, you know how the screen, you should be able to like slide over or something. I can't do that, and I can tell there's more information to the side. So, we'll get into some real quick information on the Eagles and their free agency, some of their signings, some of the important players that they may have lost. Miguel, since I can't really get into all the information, what you got for us?
All right. So the biggest things, signings or the re-signings, the players that are staying. Brandon Graham agreed to a 1-year deal. Fletcher Cox agreed to a 1-year deal. I don't have exact dollar amounts, but I know that Brendan and Fletcher signed just above minimum, so it's a fairly low contract. Jason Kelce, who's the best center in football, is coming back for another season. James Bradbury, who we signed from the Giants last year, was pretty effective as far as our secondary core. He re-signs and gets a 3-year extension. And we re-signed Boston Scott to a 1-year deal. Free agent signings. We signed Rashad Penny from the what's that? The team Seattle. Yeah, I was going to say with the stupid neon. After cutting Darius Slay, the Eagles went out and re-signed him and extended him for 2 years. We got Greedy.
I don't think they actually cut him, though. They didn't actually cut him. They told him that he can go and seek a trade.
That's right. That's right. So they
Yeah,
no. They did. How was it?
they told him he could seek a trade, and then the deal didn't work out with C.J. Gardner Johnson, I guess, which opened the door for Brad. Bradbury signed during that time, and then opened up the door for Slay as well. And Slay, I think, got that extension or whatever he got because he wasn't a free agent. He was still under
Yeah.
contract.
Right. I do hate the fact that we did lose Carter Johnson because I think he was, a really good safety. But his signing with the Lions is really weird because he made a comment that the Lions are just as good as the Eagles or whatever. But I think he kind of played that game that Lamar Jackson is playing right now, where I want to go out and seek a deal because the Eagles actually came in. I think he got $8 million for this 1 year on a prove it deal.
Yes,
But
that's
the
what he got.
Eagles actually wanted him long term, and they wanted to sign into a 3 year deal, and they actually offered him more money. So I think between him and his agent's Drew Rosenhaus. So I think the thinking is, well, just play one more year on a 1 year deal, you'll get more money next year. But I know that some players want to bet
But
on
he's got to prove
themselves,
it.
right? But I mean, he proved himself in my opinion last year. But it's like you don't have to do another prove it deal. Like you proved yourself, why not take the extension? But that's whatever. But we got another cornerback, Greedy Williams, who I think is from Tampa Bay. He agreed to a one.
Cleveland came
Cleveland,
from
that's right. I'm
Cleveland.
sorry.
Yep.
I'm thinking of the other guy. Justin Evans, I think, was from Tampa Bay.
Mm.
He's a safety. Nicholas
No, I think was he from Tampa Bay or was he from New Orleans?
Nolans. Somebody was from Tampa Bay. I don't remember. But here's the big deal. The big free agent. We finally got Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, I know. How about that? I forgot about that.
12 years after the fact.
We did sign Marcus Mariota. That's funny. And he's probably in a perfect situation because he doesn't have the pressure of being the starter like he did in Atlanta, like he did at one time in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And Marcus might be able to win you some games if he needs to. He's got this starting. He's got experience as a starter. He's a decent quarterback. No, he's not terrible.
Right.
So that's not a bad signing because we did lose Gardner Minshew. I think he went to where did he go?
He went to
He
Seattle.
went to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's funny?
No. I apologize. He went to the Colts.
He did go to the Colts. You're right.
He went to the
You know what's funny? There was, I don't know how true this is. I heard it on TV on a sports debate show, and they were saying that I think they were naming like the top 121 players or something like that, and they were talking about not Johnny Manziel. What's my man's name?
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield was like the last person on the list, right? Gardner Minshew was above him on the list. And Gardner Minshew's mustache was also above him on the list. Talk about the disrespect there. Gardner Minshew's mustache is above somebody on the list.
I mean, it was a really nice mustache. No, his but I mean, as far as his play, like he got you competitive in some of those games, but I think when it came down to like because it came around that time when who was the jackwagon from the Cowboys that said that Jalen Hurts is a system quarterback and you could put anybody in there.
Micah Parsons.
Parsons, that's right. So he was kind of proving, you could win in the system, but you still have to have some talent to, overcome and win the game. So he started to remind me of Mark Sanchez, where he would get you to the 20 and then throw a late game pick.
Yeah. Those comments that Michael Parsons made calling Jalen Hurts a system quarterback, I kind of had to think about it and take a deeper dive into it, and really like give it. You call somebody a system quarterback, right? And every quarterback plays in a system. Some are successful, some are not. If you are successful in a system, it's automatically going to kind of make you a system quarterback if you haven't played in another system or if you haven't been successful in another system. But it's so few and far between where the quarterback and the system match to make greatness, right? Like every quarterback needs a system that they can work within. It's very rare to see a quarterback just be able to work in any system, right? Tom Brady worked in Belichick's system for a very long time. Then he went down to Tampa Bay and won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay in a different system, somewhat similar system, but better weapons, better defense, Super Bowl year. And but never really was, never like that was the Super Bowl year. That was it. He didn't get back to the Super Bowl since. So I mean, it's only been like 2 years, but he didn't get back to the Super Bowl. So that kind of goes to show you, like, as great as Tom Brady is, as great as an Aaron Rodgers is. Aaron Rodgers been to what, 2 Super Bowls? I think won. Did he lose 1 Super Bowl?
Yeah, he won 1, lost 1. He beat Pittsburgh.
As great as he is, he's played in different systems and he's been able to make things happen. But that's rare. You don't get a lot of guys that are like that, right? Drew Brees during his great years was in Sean Payton's system. When Peyton Manning was having his good run, was he in one system? That might not be a great example, to be honest with you. I don't know that much about the Colts. We should have Ardot on here to talk about the Colts. But like Peyton Manning was kind of like one of them quarterbacks that you felt like he could thrive in various systems. But a lot of times when you take a quarterback out of the system that they're running, then they kind of tend to fall off a bit.
Would you say that's the case with Russell Wilson? Because he completely fell off the cliff in Denver.
So you know what? Like that's a great question. That is a great question because I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, was Russell? Because I'm going to be honest with you. Going back to when he was drafted, I wanted him to get drafted to the Eagles, and I thought he would have been a great fit with the Eagles. And at the time, that absolutely would have been a great fit with the Eagles.
We had the chance to get him too.
We could have gotten him.
Second round.
So, is that what happened to Russell Wilson? That's very. There was some time there in Seattle towards the end of his tenure in Seattle where I started to feel like, is Russell Wilson a little overrated? Like, was it more so the defense, on the backs of the defense, where that team had their success?
I don't think he was overrated. I think it got to the point where I think he was run down a little bit because, I mean, after those.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I want you to understand that when I call somebody overrated, I'm not saying that they stink because a lot of people just kind of take it as that. I think Russell Wilson is good, but me saying overrated is saying maybe he's not as good as we originally thought he was. Go ahead, finish your statement. I'm sorry.
I think that's the case. I think he was great, and you know how every quarterback goes through that a turning point in their career, like when Montana was kind of reaching the end at San Francisco, and then he signed over with Kansas City. Then he had that one. He's had those 1 or 2 good years and got Kansas City to like the AFC Championship. Sometimes you see that in trades where, like, when a quarterback gets traded, they either completely go off the cliff and then they retire, or they kind of take a year to adjust and then they get it together and so on and so forth. But I mean, for Peyton Manning to go to the Colts and then go to Denver and go to 2 Super Bowls with Denver and win 1, that's kind of impressive. Even though the last
and rare
and very rare, right?
And rare.
So it's tough to say. And even so, like, you have like Jalen Hurts, who's had an offensive coordinator every year he's played football. You know, he was at Alabama, then he went to Oklahoma, whatever. Then he came to the Eagles, and he had this was the first time he had a steady offensive coordinator for 2 seasons, and then he already lost them again. So
Since high school.
since high school, he's had a different offensive coordinator. But look at what he's been able to do, and I'm so glad that the Eagles gave the nod to the quarterbacks coach for the offensive coordinator position
Mhm.
because that familiarity I think is going to help hurt, and I think it'll help the offense overall.
I
But
agree.
you have to find. I think you need another third. You have to find a good third receiver because Quez Watkins showed glimpses at times, but he looks like um, Nelson Aguilar 2.3. And
It's so I feel so because I really want to like Quez Watkins. Like I
I want
really do.
I want to love that kid, but that drop in the Super Bowl, I mean,
And,
that's not
that drop, man.
that
That
it
drop.
did it hurt us in as far as us keeping the comeback, but it wasn't what lost us the game. But damn, it
Right.
could have helped.
But I also and I mentioned it the show we did after the Super Bowl. He gets grabbed on the shoulder right before that ball gets there. And I know it hit him in the hands and he should catch it, but you everybody knows like you can be there, you're focused on catching the ball, and then right when it gets there and it's time to catch the ball and something shifts, it throws everything off. And he's a professional, maybe should have still caught it, but his shoulder got grabbed. And I'm not making an excuse, but I'm just saying like I can't I personally cannot get but so mad at him for that because nobody really mentions that his shoulder got grabbed.
But he still had it
But
in
I
his
saw it.
hands. He still had it in his hands, grabbed or not. He still should have caught it. He should have caught it, and then we wouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah, if he caught it, it would be a moot point.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely right. Update on the score for the low league for the World Baseball Classic. USA is still down 3-1 to Japan. It is top of the sixth inning with 2 outs currently.
And Baltimore Orioles Cedric Mullins is up.
And Baltimore Orioles Cedric Mullins is up. And nobody on base. So if Mullins goes yard, it'll bring us within 1. But let's go ahead and move on to the World Baseball Classic. I want to talk about that a little bit because of what I have been able to watch of these games. It's been amazing, man. It's been great. Like last night's semifinal game between Japan and Mexico. What a game. I only saw the last 2 innings. Mm-hmm. I only saw the 8th and the 9th inning. What a game. What a 2-inning stretch that was. Did you catch that at all last night?
Yeah, I did. And I mean, there was a couple of games. I mean, I was, of course, rooting for Puerto Rico, and they had a great game, and they were winning 4-2 up until the last 2 innings. They wound up losing, I think 7-5 to Mexico. But these games are like back and forth, and Puerto Rico beat Dominican Republic for bragging rights. But it's been a great show. I mean, you can look at the numbers too. There was a stat that I saw that I think 2.8 million people saw Bryce Harper's game-winning home run against the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
Total, like as of today, between when the home run was hit to today. But just over the weekend when Trey Turner hit the grand slam and completely killed whatever team it was that they killed, it was 8.8 million over the last week. 8.8 million views. So the baseball classic is definitely a hit. I know that the two big issues that I think only people that are in the respective cities. I was listening to a rant from New York because if there's anybody that can talk crap, it's people from New York. No offense, New York. No offense, honey. My wife's from Brooklyn, so I can say it. They were highly upset at the Puerto Rico situation when Edwin Diaz came in, struck out the side to close the game to go to the quarterfinals, and he tears his Achilles celebrating. But even in that, it was a freak accident, and I think another accident too was Jose Altuve, who was playing for Venezuela, got hit in the hand, and he's going to be out for about a month or two. He broke it. He broke his thumb, I think.
I was reading that. I was reading that these teams have, like, I guess it's insurance for guy like the Mets may not be on the hook for Diaz's salary for this season.
Really?
And it's the same as for Altuve I think they said he'll be out like 8 weeks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So as I know, teams don't want to lose their star player. Teams didn't want to lose Edwin Diaz. The Mets didn't want to lose Diaz. Stros don't want to lose Altuve. But that is a risk that you take. That is taken when you have players playing in an international competition. It can happen in the Olympics. It can happen in World Championships. It's a risk. And do you think that's going to affect in the future these guys going to these competitions?
Absolutely not. The way these teams have been celebrating, the way the coverage is, I mean,
it's been great.
It's been awesome, and just the energy, and after every home run or after hit, you see everybody come out. If you didn't know what was going on, you swore you were watching a college baseball game.
Yeah,
because just the energy and the pride, and just to be able to see like the possibility. And I'm saying this because Otano actually walked to the bullpen, but to be able to see like an Otano versus Trout teammates, and you saw that quite a few times during the play, and you see the tip of the cap and stuff like that, and but just to see the camaraderie of different countries, even like Australia and Cuba and Italy, with Mike Piazza. But yeah, it's all been great to see, and then to see Anthony Santander, who plays for Venezuela and who's another Baltimore Orioles switch hitting outfielder, just tear it up, and Randy Arozarena, who's representing Mexico, and he was tearing it up, and then Trey Turner. It's like you're hoping, like you said, that carries over into the regular season, but just to see just the camaraderie of it all, the passion. Otani is warming up. No, that's Yu Darvish, my bad. But yeah, and it's sad that the Olympics don't have baseball anymore, but I think the World Baseball Classic is a great substitute for it.
You know what? I felt the same way about the baseball, the Olympics not having baseball up until this World Baseball Classic, and I'll tell you why. When you have the Olympics and you have baseball in the Olympics, baseball is kind of an afterthought in the Olympics. And oh, by the way, in the Olympics, if you're a fan of baseball, you're watching it. If you're not a fan of baseball, you could care less, right? Mm-hmm. But with the Classic going on, I mean, the timing of it, of course, you have March Madness going on, but you're kind of really the only show in town right now. You're the biggest competition in town outside of March Madness going on, and the crowds are amazing for this right now. I don't think you would get these same crowds in the Olympics because I don't think the venues are as big. Like if the Olympics were in Philly, they would probably play at Citizens Bank Park, let's say. But you might get some games at Frawley Stadium, or you might get some games at the Fighting Phil Stadium, which these venues aren't as big. Right now, I think they're playing in Miami, correct? I think the championship is in Miami.
So it was. I think Pool D was in Miami. Pool C was in Arizona.
Yeah.
And then
you had the crowds in Japan.
Yeah, and to Chinese Taipei.
Like these crowds are playing a huge part in it, man. Mm-hmm. Dara said She said, I'm very delayed, but thank you, everyone. We're talking about the her being engaged and getting ready to be married.
So thank you 20 minutes later ago.
Right. Right. Better late than never, right?
There you go.
So I think the classic, I feel like if the Olympics brought baseball back, it wouldn't have the same appeal as the classic.
Agreed. And I think too, because if it's going to be a summer Olympic, you're not going to have all the pros either. You're going to have a lot of the
Exactly.
amateurs, so
Exactly.
or the retirees.
Unless they did something like what the WNBA does, which I really don't see them doing it. But if they did something like the WNBA does and kind of like pause the season for a couple weeks until that competition over, and then they pick it back up. I don't see that happening in baseball. But
I think hockey used to do that. They used to stop the season for 2 weeks while they were in the Olympics. But
yeah. I think you're right. I think they did used to do that. So these things. I'm liking the classic. I know they're not going to do it every year. I wish they could do it every year. If they did do it every year, it wouldn't have the same appeal. So like I said, like we said last week, last World Baseball Classic was in 2017. I think it was supposed to be again in 2021, but due to the pandemic, they didn't make that happen. So this is, the first classic since 2017 in which the U.S. won the championship, and they are the defending champions currently, playing against Japan, who is a team that won the first 2 World Baseball Classics. So great game going on right now. Still 3-1. In favor of Japan here in the bottom of the 6th inning, I believe it is. Yeah, bottom of the 6th. So, after our show goes off, y'all can go check that out. And, but before y'all go check that out, make sure y'all invite a couple friends over to check us out today. I do want to bring this up, Miguel. You brought up Randy Arozarena.
Mm-hmm.
I saw an article on him. I read an article on him, excuse me. Very interesting story. Do you know anything about his story?
No. Other than I saw a meme of him. It was a meme of him with his Mexico hat, and it's on the head of Jesus, and he's holding the cross like with the crying tear. I thought that was
so. Okay, did you know? So first of all, I didn't know Randy Arozarena would be playing for Mexico. That's because Randy Arozarena is actually Cuban, and he played baseball in Cuba. And guess what his salary was when he started playing baseball in Cuba?
Oh gosh.
Guess what his monthly salary was when he started playing baseball in Cuba?
Probably a couple $100.
$200?
Yeah.
$4 a month.
So he got paid $1 a week.
I guess he got $1 a week. As he got better, his salary went up to $32 a month in Cuba, playing professionally in Cuba. So just think about that. Compare that to some of your great athletes here. He was making $4 a month playing baseball in Cuba. Wow. Okay. I mean, we know Cuba is not America. We know Cuba, they have their own set of rules, laws, standards, and all like that. So let's get back to Randy Arozarena. He was not allowed to, when Cuba was playing international, he was not allowed to go because they were afraid he would defect. He wouldn't come back home. Long story short, Randy Arozarena ended up going defecting from Cuba to Mexico, and that's how he ended up. That path took him to the major leagues, where he was able, where he's a star in the major leagues. He's making money, and all like that. And his family lives in Mexico, so he had to write a letter to the president of Mexico, basically asking him could he have citizenship in Mexico so he can play for Mexico in the World Baseball Classic. And after some time, he was the president saw his letters, granted him Mexican citizenship, and that's how he is now playing for Mexico in the World Baseball Classic. Sketch Pro Studio said, that's how you know he got love for the game. And Dara says, for sure. So
that's awesome.
Absolutely. That's a story, man. That's quite a story. You go from making $4 a month. Like we and I know for good reason, we talk about minimum wage here being $7.25 an hour. He wasn't even making minimum wage for an hour a month in Cuba. And then as he got better, he was still making under $40 a month. That's amazing. That is amazing. Hit us up, 669-275-0323 if you have any opinions on that. 669-275-0323 or any of the things that we talked about today. I do want to touch on something very quickly and very briefly. It's been talked about the last few weeks. We never really touched on it here on this show, and it's kind of dying down, so I don't really want to jump in it but so much. And that's Ja Morant, the point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies. Everybody pretty much knows what he did, where he went live on Instagram and flashed a gun. He had like a gun he put on his shoulder, kind of was holding a gun on his shoulder on Instagram Live. Led to a suspension, a team suspension. He suspended him for a couple games and ended up being more. He ended up going to like a rehab facility or something. He was getting some help and stuff like that. Why is this a big deal? Because days prior to this, a story came out about him, I guess, flashing a gun at a 17-year-old kid and maybe fighting a 17 or something along those lines. Prior, and this was like this. It wasn't that story came out months later after it happened. So it wasn't like he was flashing a gun and then the next day he's flashing a gun again on Instagram. This was months later. But a lot of people had a lot of opinions on him, on his family, on the company he keeps, his father, the life that he lived growing up. Recently they supposedly found like an old Instagram account that he had where he was claiming he was like a kid. He was claiming like he was a drug dealer and a gangster and all like that. And a lot of people are talking about like that's not your life. That's not who you are. Why are you trying to act like you're a gangster and this, that, and the third? But a lot of the people that were saying all these things about him were older people. And I'm not saying that they are wrong or anything like that. I'm not saying they're right, not saying they're wrong. But I find it interesting how the dynamic of thought changes as you become an older person. I was talking to somebody and they, I put them in the situation. And I said, if this was you in college and your friend said, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of a whole nother situation, but I just merged two situations, but let me go ahead. I'm going to go to the other situation just to make this story. The basketball player from Alabama that is playing right now, it's not been charged with anything. Is not a suspect of anything. He was in a situation where one of his teammates killed a girl at a club or something like that. But what happened in his story is he was the person that bought the guy the gun. Not bought it, like paid for it. He bought him, like the gun was in his car and he bought it to him. It was the guy's gun. The guy told him he needed his gun. It was in his car. He bought it to him. And when this story came out, because this kid is allowed to play again because he's not a suspect and all like that, I was talking to somebody and they said, why would he bring this guy a gun and this, that, and the third? And I was just thinking about it and I'm like, he's like 18, 19 years old, maybe 20, but I think he's like fresh out of high school. And you have your friends, you have your teammates, and you have your friends. Your teammates ain't always your friends, and friends ain't always your teammates. But you're going out with your teammates, and you know that your teammate carries a gun. and and so I don't mean that this is not a funny situation. I don't mean to laugh. I'm laughing at something else. I'll discuss with Miguel later. You get a call from your teammate, your friend, whatever you want to call them. I need the burn. I need whatever they may call it. In most cases, you're going to at that age, at that mindset. And I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but most people are going to bring their friend the gun unless they know they're about to do something stupid. Right now, we as grown adults been on this earth for 40 some odd years. We know nothing great happens with a gun. There's been nothing that you can talk about that is great that has happened because of a gun. But when you're 18 and you live a certain way and you're in Alabama, which does not have any professional team, basketball team, football team, baseball team, you're in Alabama, you are the show in Alabama. If you're at University of Alabama playing football, you are the show. So you are also a target, right? I'm saying all this. Let me try to wind down this dissertation. I say this to say that I now understand how the youth make dumb decisions like Ja Morant did, like this kid from Alabama did, because life is different for them in their position than it is for any of us in our position. Not making an excuse for any of them. It was still dumb. Still shouldn't have did those things. But life is very different for those people than it is for us. And before you go immediately judging the youngins for the stupid things that they're doing, really understand the entire situation and instead of making judgment, let's try a little more of understanding and trying to develop ways of helping the youngin out as opposed to judging them and judging the company they keep. Even though all that stuff might be right, you got to be in those shoes to understand the mindset. If you understand the mindset, you can probably create what's the word I'm looking for? A resolution to the issue. We have somebody that just said Chiefs Kingdom for whatever reason. Not really sure, but
I think that's probably a slant to the situation with like Tyreek Hill and with the domestic violence, and I think they had a running back that also I think Kareem Hunt was on that team before he got traded because of some violent off the field issues. I think being a coach, you and I experienced, coaching together when we had a lot of great talent come through our organization. Some of it was just athletic talent versus baseball talent. But I think with people our age or older, we stop developing, or we kind of lose our empathy, and we start. We want things to be right, and we want people to think the right way. Because I'm guilty of wanting to shake the ever loving crap out of my son for some of the decisions that he made. But I realized, number one, that every child, even under one household, each child is different. Each child has different strengths, different weaknesses. Each child has different personalities, and you kind of have to. I always say, you have to kind of coach the family kind of different based on their strengths and weaknesses. Some people say that Bill Belichick is one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach that ever lived. but I beg to challenge anybody that said that, what has he done without Brady? But then you have like a Bill Parcells who went to three different Super Bowls with three different quarterbacks, and was able to coach Phil Simms different than he was able to coach Banks, Lawrence Taylor. That you had to coach each one different.
Mhm.
But I'm always kind of sensitive to stuff like that because of the fact, you and I can relate to a player that had all the talent in the world and would make what we thought was dumb decision after dumb decision. But after sitting down and talking with this young man, coming to find out that at the age of 14, 15, 16, you know, he was caught between a divorce of his parents. Um, he actually had to raise money for his house. His parents or his mother wasn't working. I don't know if she had some sort of illness or whatever. But some are living with their grandmothers. I mean, we've had a couple players that were homeless. You know what I mean? It's like, what am I going to do? Yell at him and tell him to get a job? He can't even get working papers. So I think
Right.
we have to kind of understand the situation, like you said, understand the dynamics. And I think once we see that, it's kind of like when we talk about it. There's a lot of homeless in downtown Baltimore. I'm sure in Philly too. But they seem to be kind of everywhere. We have like a couple of tent cities, and it's constantly a complaint. Well, why just move them out? Just get them out of the way. It's like most of them have mental health issues. You know what I mean? You can't just throw people aside just for your convenience, just so you can drive your little stupid Prius across the street. You know what I mean? It's like we don't
Mhm.
we lack that empathy, and not just in sports, but just as a whole. But in relation to sports, it's just like with any political issue. When LeBron was talking about Black Lives Matter, and all these sports casters were like, just shut up and play. We don't want to hear about that. But it's like, something needs to be said.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, it's something to put out there. You know what I mean? Just when you're dealing with people that under the age of 25, they tend to make decisions. I know I made some dumb decisions. I've done some things where I'm like, wow, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I got away with that. You know what I mean? Like, there's just some dumb things that I've done that I'm glad that.
I'm reminded of Markel Fultz and how he didn't play. He was on the Sixers bench for what 2 years, and um, allegedly because of an injury. But we were tanking. But his maturity or lack thereof kind of showed, because I think he posted something on Twitter where he was playing this game, and it was a game where a cow was facing him, and you had to eat drink the milk that was squirted out into his face. It was
Yeah,
the weird, right. So, and he was just like, like he's like literally like swallowing, and the points are going up, and he's just like cracking up, and I'm like,
this is real. Like, it's real.
it's this was from like hit. I think it was from his second to last or his last season as a Sixer, and everybody was like, okay, he's not altogether there. I'll see if I can find it and I can send it to you. But he was literally playing this game where it was like you saw the you saw the belly of the cow with the nipples squirting out milk, and you had to catch the milk. Yeah,
Ew.
yeah.
Why would
I,
you? Ew.
I gotta see it. I'm sure it's been taken down, but I'm sure somebody has it out there. But
It's got to be somewhere. Nothing really disappears from the internet unless you have the bronze scrub team, as my man R. Dot would say. We're coming down the home stretch. Miguel, are you stumping me today?
of course I am.
Because I have a trivia question for you. So let
Right.
me do this. Shutting the phone lines down, so don't call.
Sorry, it reminds me of a conversation I had with an ex about 19 years ago.
All right, here we go. Rookie of the Year, 8-time All-Star Home Run Derby champ, 3-time World Series, and 2-time Silver Slugger. Looks like he played for the Yankees towards the end of his career. Maybe the Astros.
No.
No. Okay.
All right, so he played
the
for
Baltimore's. The Orioles.
How you go from Baltimore to Kansas City? No, to both. He played for the Los Angeles Dodgers, the San Francisco Giants, which I was very surprised, the New York Yankees, and the New York Mets.
What was the time frame? Give me the time frame of the career, the era, or whatever you want to call it.
80s, 90s, and 2000s.
Damn, played a long time. Give me the teams again.
Los Angeles Dodgers, San Francisco Giants, New York Yankees, and the New York Mets.
Okay, it's not a 3-time World Series. Give me the teams again.
Los Angeles Dodgers.
Are these in order of the teams he?
No.
Okay, is it in order on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, what's the order on the screen?
Mets, Dodgers, Giants, Yankees.
Okay, I think that helps a little more. Rookie of the Year, Mets, Dodgers,
Giants, Yankees.
Did he play for the Giants? He didn't. You say you were surprised he played for the Giants. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what number he was, so I don't know if any of these numbers. And I don't know if he was ever a home run derby champion. Actually, I don't think he was a home run derby champion, but I'm going to say Darryl Strawberry.
Dun, dun, dun.
I was right?
Yeah. There it is on the screen.
All right. You don't have a picture of him?
It's on the screen.
Oh, it's not on my screen. Sorry. Maybe I'm lagging here. There he is. Up, and went away. There he is.
Yeah, you're lagging.
Darryl Strawberry. Okay, wow. Darryl Strawberry.
Yep. I was surprised. So remember. So
now that I see it, I remember him playing for the Giants, but
I don't remember it at all. But I realized that was the year. I think he got suspended twice for cocaine, and
only twice.
Yeah, surprising.
Okay.
But you got to watch that 30 for 30 with him and Doc Gooden.
Oh, it was great. I've seen it. I watched it twice.
Yeah. Because I remember Doc telling the story about missing the World Series parade because he was in one of the brownstones in Brooklyn.
He was in a crack house.
Crack house, yeah. But
binging out.
Yep.
That's amazing. That's what Rick James said. Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, man.
I'll never know it. Tell you that. I ain't gonna mess with it. So I got a question for you, Miguel.
Go for it.
Against what opposing team did Babe Ruth hit his first career home run?
Was it the Boston Red Sox?
Boston Red Sox is incorrect.
What are the team colors?
The team colors are, if I told you that, is obvious.
No, not necessarily, because there's a lot of teams that have common colors.
Yes. It's very obvious if I told you.
Oh, no crap. The New York Yankees.
Yes.
No, I got it backwards because I forgot he played with Boston first and then he went to New York. My bad.
As a member of the Boston Red Sox, he hit his first home run against the Yankees. That is,
and he would have played in first. Yeah, got it.
Absolutely. Well, that was fun. We got some stuff in. Dara said the Yankees.
Oh,
Dara
okay.
also said no when I said Darryl Strawberry, I think, but she had said no. That's. I just wanted to show it to you. She said no.
Well, I'm gonna tease her right now because she was trying to. She called me at my. She called me one day, and she's like, I need a. She was trying to answer a trivia question on the show,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, they said this, and that. I'm like, well, that's not correct, and they said that it was correct, and I'm like, well, they're wrong. So, but then apparently the show had like 7 more. It was about the picture not being on the screen, I
Yeah,
guess.
I guess when you were saying the picture was on the screen, it wasn't. So I guess
It wasn't her fault though, but it was the way, like, some shows don't know how to, like, we know how to do trivia questions. They were like, "Oh, well, this is a trivia question that came from like somebody else." I'm like, "But it's not correctly answered."
yeah, if you're gonna do a trivia question on the radio, you gotta have the right answer.
Right. But
Like
it was but
as
appar-
the person that's displaying the question, you have to have the correct answer.
but apparently it was right under certain conditions. I'm like, I instructed my niece to stop watching that
Kind of
show.
like when the pitcher had won the Silver Slugger Award.
See, that's a trick. There's a difference between trick questions and questions that you don't know the answer to.
Right.
There's a difference. So
Um,
I instructed my niece to no longer watch that show and to report them to the FCC as porn.
that's funny. Well, I hope she said they didn't know how to ask the question. Well, yeah, if you have a show and you're going to do trivia questions, you got to know how to ask the question. You got to know.
Mhm.
All right, you got to know. It's just part of the game. Part of the game.
There you go.
So, Dar, that means you can no longer. They don't know what they're doing. You gotta rock with us from here on out.
There you go. Every week for the next until and get your husband on so he can learn sports.
There you go.
Because he's like
So we're gonna get up out of here, huh?
he's like 6'8" and doesn't know sports. You can't be that tall and not know sports. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna stay out of that one. I'm gonna stay out of that one.
I'm teasing.
I'm gonna stay out. All right, we're gonna get up out of here. We appreciate y'all hanging with us here on the Check Swing Podcast. Once again, you can check us out anytime and any show that we have done over on our over on the New Twist Radio YouTube channel. I can say it. Just go to youtube.com/New Twist Radio, and if you hit the live tab, like people probably know this, but I kind of just found this out a couple weeks ago. If you hit the live tab, you'll see all of our live shows that we do here on New Twist Radio. 10-7 show, Let's Not Argue, Intelligent Ignorance, Check Swing Podcast, all types of stuff. And if you didn't have a chance to check out this week's 10-7 show this past Sunday, definitely go check it out. We had a great time, and the comments was crazy. Everybody was getting involved in that show. The topic was, can you be in love with more than one person at the same time? The opinions on that were through the roof. So definitely go ahead and check that out. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us all on social media. With all that being said, we're going to get up out of here. Appreciate y'all hanging with us once again, and we'll check y'all next time here on the Check Swing Podcast. We out of here. I'm looking for the video so I can get us out of here. We're out of here.